Will Smith showing his ups and downs as the Sharks lose in preseason. So who cares? 3-2 in a shootout.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at the Reef, also the co-host of Western Conference Tuesdays on the Locked On NHL channel. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Net. We cover your team every day. If you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do is just follow along wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch this on YouTube as well. And the Sharks lose 3-2 in a shootout to the Anaheim Ducks. But the points don't matter, results don't matter, all that stuff, because it's a preseason. And again, this is a process over results season for the Sharks anyway. So we're going to discuss Will Smith as he continues to show some ups and some downs. So we'll go through that as Danil Gushchin locked up a spot. The Eklund line shines tonight. And is it Vitek Vanecek's crease and we're just living in it? So before we get to all that, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So we'll start with Will Smith, of course, the 4th overall pick in the 2023 NHL draft. And you're seeing from him, I think every game, him just getting more and more comfortable just playing hockey in the NHL, which is good, which is what you want to see, right? We'll start with it. I guess let's start with the negative. And tonight, his shot was not very good. And you see like a lot of just whiffing on the one-timers. And it reminded me a lot of when William Eklund first kind of broke in. And I remember asking about this, if you go back when he was getting an eight-game run before he hurt his shoulder, and he's playing a game. They're playing a game against the Capitals. This was the David Quinn gets kicked out of the game. But I remember multiple times, especially Erik Karlsson firing passes for Eklund to one time, and he's just like a bit slow, right? And it's just that pace, right? Eklund, who played in his whole season AHL, but that NHL pace where it's just like everything's just a notch faster from him, and he just kept whiffing on him. Now you see Eklund's very comfortable in the NHL, and his one-timers become a huge asset, right? And was a big part of kind of why the Sharks power play, especially at the end of the season last year, was as dynamic as it was because of Eklund on that one-timer. Translate that to Will Smith now, right? Will Smith, it was very much like just a hair late, right? It reminded me a lot of like a baseball player when they're just like a tad late on their swings, and it's just like foul ball after foul ball after foul ball. And that's what it looked like from Will Smith tonight, where it's just like catching the heel of the stick and not kind of in that sweet spot there, because he had some opportunities there to score some goals. So not worried about it. That's just something I bet as the season goes on and he gets used to playing, getting more comfortable with his teammates, getting more comfortable with just playing with the speed in the NHL, you're going to start to see some of those go in for Will Smith. I thought overall, though, you continue to see some of the pacing improvements from Smith. The passing, there's some dynamic passing, really great pass on kind of like I think it was like a 3-on-2 between him and Gushchin, like the Ducks just, kind of made a great save there. But yeah, Will Smith, like he got his first assist tonight on the power play. I know the production maybe hasn't been there, maybe what you'd want to see, but it's, again, we're about process over results right now for the Sharks. I think that's going to be a big theme for the season, is process over results right now, because the results will eventually come. But I think, though, for Smith, let's just continue to get comfortable, continue to kind of gel with your line mates and get just get used to kind of the NHL and the pace of the NHL. So I think tonight was another good step in that direction. As I fully like, he's going to be on the NHL, like the opening night roster. I would be at this point, I'd be shocked, especially with him playing second line center minutes for the Sharks. I did notice in overtime on the draw, they let Dellandrea take the draw, and then they swapped out Dellandrea for Smith. Just like last year, we would see like Nico Sturm take the draw, and then like Eklund would come on for him right away. So I wonder, especially like when Granlund, it's been weird they haven't played Granlund much, but Granlund veteran, you want to kind of, you know exactly what you're getting. I can understand why you maybe want to you don't need to push Granlund. So you wonder if when we get to actual games, if those two aren't aligned together, if we have the Granlund, Smith, Zetterlund line, as I kind of expect we'll have. If Granlund's the one taking draws and then Smith kind of slides over to center once the kind of the game action starts going there. But overall, again, I think you're seeing positive steps, baby steps from Will Smith here. So, and kind of the good news also, side note is it seems like, so I think Celebrini did skate today, which is a positive sign. I think he will be ready to go. I think he'll be ready for opening night. So especially if he's skating now. Again, he's not. I don't expect him to play in Vegas. I think Monday's a big day. If he's practicing on Monday, he'll be fine. He'll be good to go. So, but I think it's a positive sign that he is skating now. So another, I think, positive sign tonight. Danil Gushchin was all over the place, and I want to say he's locked up a slot. I think he's been good enough to like, and it wasn't just like, the producing, but like the little things, right? That's always been kind of the Gushchin, right? If you're not scoring, what else can you do for me? And you saw that tonight, I thought, a lot. Making a really nice save, like on a power play, kind of keeping it in the zone. Kind of playing physical. Like Gushchin's not going to be the most, but he's not going to just, kind of steamroll dudes. But like he's playing physical behind the boards, playing physical along the wall. Like back checking. Like I think Gushchin, I think he needs to be on the roster. I want to say he's locked it up. I'm hoping he's locked it up. We will see, but I think it's really hard to not have Gushchin on this team. I said it last week. He's just been like, and he's been skating hard every preseason game. I think Gushchin needs to be in the open night roster. And especially if Wennberg, who we'll talk about here a little bit more, if Wennberg's playing on your 3C with Smith and Celebrini and Smith, and Wennberg's your 3C, and if you want to have like Gushchin and Kostin, Kostin I thought looked really good. We'll talk about him in a little bit here too. But I think Gushchin's been he's like this close to locking up a spot. If he plays in Vegas and has another, we know last preseason in Vegas, he put up a hat trick. I know that game was not, again, it's preseason, but if Gushchin comes out and has another game, I would think it's going to be really hard for the Sharks to send him down to the Barracuda. So really impressed with him tonight and the way he played. So we're going to look at some of the other guys. I want to talk about the Eklund line, which performed really well tonight, especially in a game where the Sharks did not play super great. We'll kind of talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about some other guys who stood out, and then we're going to talk about Vitek Vanecek and if it is his crease now, question mark. So we'll get to that here in just 1 minute. Hey, NFL fans, you can start this season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You can start with $200 in bonus, but it's guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. And again, until Tua gets back, just keep hammering the under on the Dolphins, and they play the Patriots this weekend. That game is going to be a rock fight between two bad teams. So you can do all that over at FanDuel.com. All right, let's talk about kind of a little bit more about the game itself and the Eklund line, which kind of was really good tonight. And Alex Wennberg, I think, was a big part of it tonight. So the Sharks, though, in this game did not, especially the first period, did not perform well. That first period really left a lot to desire. They were very much just kind of stuck in their own zone. The Ducks, credit to the Ducks, they did a really good job of kind of clogging the neutral zone and making it just tough for the Sharks to kind of get their offense going and get the transition game going. And anytime they did start to kind of get something going, just the passing and stuff just was not crisp. A lot of breakout passes were kind of just off or just missing. And it felt very much like just everything was just a little behind or just a little like nothing was just really clicking for the Sharks. But credit to them in the second period. I think they kind of found their game there. Where the Ducks still outshot and outchanced them throughout the game, but in the second period it was much closer. The Sharks did take advantage of the power play opportunities, scoring the first goal on the power play thanks to Klim Kostin, but it was very much kind of like the Ducks kind of controlling the pace, especially for the first part, and then they were much more kind of back and forth once the game kind of continued on there. And then as the Sharks were looking to kind of tie it up late in the third, they were able to do so. But I want to kind of highlight the Eklund line tonight. So Eklund, Wennberg, and Toffoli played just about 13 minutes together at 5v5. They had 14 shot attempts and gave up 9. Actual shots was 7-4 and did have a goal thanks to Henry Thrun. Well, the Corsi numbers aren't like the most spectacular. The other lines shot attempts were 7-14, 6-15, and 5-9 for those lines. And that's why I want to highlight the Eklund line, which I thought they were the line kind of doing the most for the Sharks, and was good to see Wennberg. I thought after kind of some slow performances so far this preseason, I think Wennberg really played well tonight, and you saw why the Sharks went out to get him because of just kind of the little things he does. And looking at even the Henry Thrun goal, right, is Wennberg on the forecheck kind of causing some chaos, causing making things difficult. And the puck gets back to Eklund, who gets it up to Thrun. And Thrun gets the old knuckler in there for a goal, which I think Thrun had a pretty solid night as well tonight, and I think needed that goal, especially as a guy who's still is. I think he's going to make the team, but I think with as a guy we want to kind of see take a big step this season. I think for a guy like Thrun, it was a good night, and at least in that direction. So, but like. Back to that line though, like Toffoli was great tonight. Had like when he was on the ice at 5v5, 15-12 shot attempts with 55% Corsi. He was the only guy over 50% Corsi. Eklund was next at 15-16, so basically even there. And then Wennberg 15-20 at 42%, which was the fourth with Jan Ruda as the kind of the only guy in between there. So yeah, I think if Wennberg can kind of solidify himself as that 3C, which we expect him to do, and have some depth, like much better depth down the middle there, I think that is a good sign. I think his performance tonight was a good sign kind of going forward, and especially if he's playing in the third line where you're not going to have as tough matchups, hopefully, instead of playing top line minutes that he did tonight. I think it's a good sign for Wennberg, and as the Sharks team is going to try to rely on his depth as you wait for your star players to develop, and hopefully Wennberg can provide some scoring, or at least assisting some scoring on the third line there. So other guys, again, I think Cardwell had himself an outstanding night, was like this close to a goal. He's going to play NHL games this year, and I think I tweeted it. He's probably going to play more NHL games than you expect. And I know I still think he starts the season on the Barracuda just because of the numbers game right now. And if he's like your extra guy, I think they would rather have him instead of press boxing with the Sharks, right? Would you rather him sit in the press box with the Sharks or go play big time minutes with the Barracuda? I personally would rather him go play big time minutes with the Barracuda. So that's kind of what I expect for Cardwell, but he's going to earn NHL minutes really quickly because of just the hustle. Like he's a perfect glue guy on a line where whatever you need him to do, if you need him to go be a forechecking energy dude, he can go do that. He's got scoring touch. He can skate. I think Cardwell is going to carve himself out a really nice season this year as well. Defensively, I think we saw some kind of ups and downs as well. And again, I kind of touched on it earlier, especially with the transition game. I liked Wallman tonight. I really thought he was kind of jumping in and making some plays as well. I liked Thren's game as well. Cody Ceci, I thought made a couple good plays. Also had his kind of up and down moments as well. Benning, I think he had a really nice shift where he made a really solid stop in the defensive zone and then got into the play offensively. And again, as a guy who's coming back from, hip surgery, expect him to kind of continue to shake off some of the rust here. But if Benny can if he can get back to the player that he was before the injury, where he was very, very good in the 2022-2023 season. And not saying that he was the reason why the Sharks were so bad last year, but I think they really, really missed having him back there to kind of help just settle things down on the blue line. And I expect him to continue to play that same role, just settle things down, especially if you want to pair him with a younger defenseman, whether it's Henry Thrum, Shakir Mukhamadullin, when he comes up, whomever you want to do, kind of pair him with. I think he'll be perfect for that role. So, but yeah, other guys, I thought Dellandrea really popped off as well tonight. I know his Corsi numbers aren't the greatest, but I thought he was kind of all over the ice as well. Grunstrom, same thing. Between the two, again, I still think they're both going to make the team as of right now, but I think Dellandrea is just like a tiny bit ahead. I think it's also because he's been playing center as well. So I expect him that just having that kind of floating around as well as that ability to play center. Giovanni Smith showed some things here and there as well. Of course, you know exactly what you're getting with Giovanni Smith, very much a hard hat, lunch pail, agitator type of role for the team. But I think, he just doesn't really do it for me that much. And I still think he's one of the guys who starts the season with the Barracuda here right now. So yeah, overall, I think though, again, process of results, you need to work on cleaning up the transition and spending more time in your offensive zone. The Ducks really, really kind of, especially in the beginning of the game, kind of did what they wanted there. But the reason why this game even went to a shootout or to overtime was Vitek Vanecek. And we'll discuss Vitek Vanecek here in a minute. And if he maybe might be your opening night starter. So we'll get to that here in just 1 second. All right, before we get to Vitek Vanecek, I do want to thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Again, proudly part of the Locked On Network. For your second listen, go check out one of the other great shows here on the Locked On Network, right? You have Locked On NHL, where I'm on every Tuesday with Seth from Locked On Wild. You have Eastern Conference Wednesdays, power rankings on Thursdays. Mondays and Fridays are kind of just general at large, whatever the biggest stories in the NHL are. You have Locked On Prospects, of course, right? Come on, guys. We're a prospect show as well. We cover a bunch of prospects, but or Locked On Fantasy Hockey if you want to get ready for your fantasy hockey draft. So you can find any of those shows wherever you get podcasts, and of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. So, Vitek Vanecek, pretty good night tonight from Vanecek. He faced a lot of pressure and very reminiscent of 2023-2024 Sharks of just hemmed in your own zone all night, facing a ton of shots. In all situations, he had 40 saves on 42 shots, 2 goals against. Expected goals against was 3.86, so almost 4. So great performance out of him tonight. Saved almost 2 goals above expected. 952 save percentage, 12 for 12 on the high danger saves, 12 of 14 on mid danger, 16 of 16 on the low danger save performance as well. He looks calm, collected. Needs to hold on a stick a little bit more. They mentioned that on the broadcast, where it's just a couple times in the preseason here. He's played basically a game and a half, and it feels like might need to get him some sticker or something to keep that stick in his hand. But for Vanecek, though, I think he's healthy, and it just looks very calm, and he looks very big, especially you saw it in the shootout, right, where it was just like tracking the puck really well. I'm going to be as big as possible. I'm not going to fall for any of this stuff. And I just thought he's played really, really well tonight with that. So I think this is going to bring up the big question is, well, who starts opening night? Kenzie Blackwood is expected to get the net against Vegas. And it's not like Blackwood has played poorly, at all. I think from what I've seen from Vanecek, it's just been a little bit better so far. I mean, we'll see tomorrow night after Saturday night after they play, and Vanecek goes out and has a great game as well. I think that's the good thing about the Sharks right now is the goaltending quality is just so much better than what we've seen the past couple of years. And I feel fairly confident. I feel really confident, to be honest, between whoever goes out between, if it's Vanecek or Blackwood, that they're going to keep the Sharks in it, right? That's all you can ask for right now is just, can you keep the Sharks in it? We don't need it's 3-0, 5 minutes into the game, and Martin Jones is skating off as Aaron Dell comes in or somebody else comes in. I just don't think we're going to see those type of performances. And I think a lot of it has to do with Askarov, who, that puts a lot, that lights a fire under you when you bring in a high pick like that who's gunning for your job, right? And we all know it's 3 guys kind of fighting for 2 spots right now. Askarov did practice today for the Barracuda. He was sent down to the Barracuda as expected. I know a lot of people on Twitter made a big deal about it. We educated Sharks fans knew he was going to start the season with the Barracuda, and that was the plan, right? Yes, he's starting the season with the Barracuda. It makes total sense. We talked about with our friend Nick Nolenberger, where we think he's going to leave the team, the Cuda, and starts. We're smart, we're educated, we know where Askarov is going to play majority of the season, but it doesn't mean we're not going to see Askarov on the Sharks here and there as well. So, but right now, right, between Vanecek and Blackwood, neither one of these guys wants to give up their games or their starts to Askarov. And I think you're going to see a very healthy competition between those two because, again, both these guys are on the last year of their contracts. You're fighting for your next contract. You're fighting for if you're going to be part of this team or if you're going to be putting tape out there for your next team. And again, you have the goaltender Aaron Parrott waiting for one of you to slip up, so that way he can come in and take your spot. So, and I think Vitek Vanecek has performed very well. Has looked very calm, and I think that's a big sign for him this year to kind of show why he was thought to be a potential guy a couple years ago, where they thought he would be potentially the guy. Do I think he's going to hold either one of these guys are eventually going to hold off Askarov? No, I think Askarov's eventually going to take one of their jobs. It's just now, whose job is it going to be? So I'm curious to see. That's going to be one of the big things I watch for going into this Vegas game is how does Blackwood kind of respond? And if Blackwood has a poor night, or if he lets in a soft one or something like that, don't be surprised if Vitek Vanecek is your starter coming on Thursday night against the Blues. So we'll end this really quick. Kind of some of the things to watch here for Saturday night. We'll probably do another podcast Saturday night as a kind of a make good for you guys, since I wasn't able to record one Thursday night. I'll get to that here in a second. But I think which of these young guys, these bubble guys, the Gushchins, your Cardwells, your Giovanni, like which of these guys have kind of can lock in their slots, right? Being on the opening night roster. I think Mackenzie Blackwood, I expect him to try to have a nice response to Vitek Vanecek's performance tonight, because Vitek Vanecek was, he was great. So tonight, and that's what I'm looking for. And can we see again? We've seen a little bit of flashes from Will Smith. I want to see something where we're like, that's the first thing we're talking about on the episode, is assuming he's playing or not. I'll be curious. I'm curious to see who they throw out there, especially on the second night of a back-to-back where you do have to travel. I know it's an hour flight from Vegas to from San Jose to Vegas. But like who, if Smith's in there, can we see something to kind of just dot, put a nice period on the preseason here. And also, I wonder if Gushchin and or Thompson play. Can they make that last push to try to claim a opening night roster spot? So before we get out of here, again, want to thank you guys. Sorry I was not able to do an episode like I normally do Thursday night, right, for your Friday episode. We unfortunately had to say goodbye to our beloved cat, who my wife and I, who we've been married 15 years, we got this cat, we were dating. She just, unfortunately, as all pets, you pretty much outlive all your pets, and it was time for her. So just didn't have the energy on Thursday night to record. Thank you to a lot of people who reached out to me and kind of gave me their thoughts and condolences and stuff like that. So it was just didn't have it in me that night. So that's why I couldn't record. So that's gonna be it for me tonight. Like I said, we'll be back Saturday night to do a recap of the preseason. Sunday, we'll probably hear about we'll kind of know what the roster is and who's kind of gets sent down and all that stuff. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about next week. We'll start getting you guys geared up for the regular season. Probably look at some big picture stuff. Get some fun stuff lined up for next week. And yeah, we're here, guys. We are in, ready to go. So make sure you're following wherever you get podcasts, and of course watch on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube, now's the perfect time to get in as we keep pumping out content. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter at my fry hole. Till tomorrow. Bye, friends.